In a scene repeated all over the country, some 1,200 students from Dreyfus School of the Arts walked out of class and marched to West Palm Beach City Hall, where they crowded into the courtyard to rally against gun violence, vowing to stop the killing that claimed the lives of 17 students and teachers at nearby Stoneman Douglas High School.
An experience shouldn't be watching classmates get murdered.
The teens were joined by the mayor, who promised to fight for legislation that would keep them safe.
Enough is enough, and no more of our children will be killed.
In an afternoon filled with speeches, poetry, music, and tears, the students called for concrete steps to stop the violence, saying thoughts and prayers are not enough.
Thoughts and prayers are not enough! Thoughts and prayers are not enough!
We don't need any more thoughts and prayers. We need action and change.
As for the push by President Trump to arm teachers, these kids say they can't imagine that in any classroom, but especially not in their school, where half their time is spent studying subjects like music, theater, and dance.
I go to an art school and I see these teachers as artists, people who are creative, passionate people. They don't want to carry on a Glock, and I don't want to see them with a Glock.
And those who will be old enough to vote say they'll be sure to get to the polls during the next election to make some big changes before one more school experiences one more tragedy. This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. These new recruits, most of them hired with the help of a $160,000 grant from the Federal Emergency Management Agency, are taking part in West Palm Beach Fire and Rescue's Fire Ground Survival Program.
I lost the hose line.
It's designed to get them out of tight spots they may find themselves in while fighting fires when there's no one else around to help.
Go ahead with your mayday.
Crawling under tangled wires, chopping holes in the walls of smoke-filled burning buildings, squeezing through tight spots impeded by heavy, bulky equipment. It's frustrating and frightening, but it could save their lives.
We have drop ceilings in commercial buildings. We have electrical wiring in our homes. We have furnishings. You get tangled up in those things, and you potentially run out of air, and you'll potentially lose your life in the structure.
That's something 37-year-old recruit Coles Colas, a former football player and married father of two, doesn't take lightly.
For me, being a bigger guy, it's hard to be in those tight spaces and not have much movement. So at times, you're gonna have to bear down and get your mind right and calm your breathing and relax and wiggle yourself in the right position so you can get yourself through.
Colas and his 22 fellow recruits are learning how to do that and much more during 3.5 months of intensive training.
They learned what we call suppression or firefighting, which includes all of the hose work, ladders, tools, equipment. They also learn all the extrication skills, which would be the jaws of life most people are aware of.
As EMTs, or in some cases paramedics, they also learn how to treat and transport patients. They're being taught by seasoned firefighters with at least 10 years' experience who know the ropes. That gives them confidence as they begin their new careers.
Being afraid never crossed my mind because I know they're going to give me all the tools that I need when the time comes.
The recruits will complete a year of probation at various firehouses around the city. They'll be evaluated daily by supervisors and peers who are looking for certain qualities that make them suited for the job.
A genuine desire to do the job and help people.
Coles Colas says he definitely has that desire because while he thought playing football was a dream come true, to him, being a firefighter means so much more.
Football, you lose a game and you go home, you pout about it and that's the end of it. But here, if you don't do what you're supposed to do, somebody may get hurt and somebody may die and that's a big deal.
This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. 63-year-old Kevin and his 62-year-old friend George are just settling into their new home.
It's on the same side as St. Anne's, yeah.
There's still work to be done on their apartment, but the two men are delighted and relieved to be here because up until recently, this is what they called home, a bench outside West Palm Beach City Hall. Why did you choose to hang out at City Hall?
It's safer. You got cameras, you got security, and you got people walking back and forth all day long.
So that's where Kevin, George, and many others spent most of their days and nights reading books taken out of the library next door, smoking cigarettes, and sleeping with one eye open.
You learn to be a light sleeper out here. You gotta be. It's a matter of survival.
The two friends wound up homeless after health issues and layoffs led to a downward spiral in their lives.
I used to work for AT&T, and I retired from there, and then I worked as an electrician.
And then what happened?
I had a heart attack. Couldn't go near the electric anymore. They put a pacemaker in me.
I worked downtown Chicago for years.
Remodeling homes?
Yeah.
So how did this happen?
Stupidity.
What does that mean?
A friend of mine told me I had a job down here, and he was living on the streets.
While hanging out here, Kevin, the more outgoing of the two, would talk to passers-by, from residents coming to City Hall to pay their bills, to city workers, and even the mayor and police chief.
Are you ready?
And that's how Kevin got to know Armando Fana, director of the Department of Housing and Community Development. Fana made it his mission to get Kevin, George, and some of their friends off the streets. It took months to arrange for the men to live in a fully furnished and rehabbed apartment owned by the city, and weeks to convince them to take him up on it.
And change is always difficult. You might not think change is difficult from going from homelessness to a roof over your head, but it is a huge change for some of these folks.
But finally, after agreeing to pay 30% of their small monthly government checks for rent, Kevin and George moved in. You feel like this is going to be good?
Oh yeah, now I can take a shower in the morning and I can go out and look for work.
What do you think is going to be the best part about having your own place?
It's going to be getting back into society, getting back to, not being on the streets, interacting with the neighbors, just normal everyday things.
That we take for granted.
Exactly.
This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. It's been 20 years since we've seen spring training in West Palm Beach, and now with the opening of the newest Major League Baseball facility in the country, it's finally back. The ballpark of the Palm Beaches, with a price tag of about $150 million, is hosting two teams, the Washington Nationals and Houston Astros. On the Astros' first full squad workout day, there was high praise for the ballpark.
It's a gorgeous facility. It's certainly the best that I've ever trained in.
The park is attracting not only locals but also snowbirds and tourists who made the trip to see spring training up close. Some say they don't even care who's playing because just being out here is pure joy.
How's it going? Good.
But others do have favorite players, like 12-year-old Joe Estevez, who lives nearby.
Okay.
Joe came here with his dad and sister on a mission to get an autograph from
Jose Altuve, because he's a good inspiration to me because he's one of the shortest guys in baseball. But it doesn't matter how tall he is or how strong he is. He plays really good and he plays with all his heart.
Joe wasn't the only one seeking out the popular player.
Give him room.
But he was not easily discouraged.
One! Just one, please!
And finally, Joe got what he came for.
Jose Altuve, I finally got him.
What did he say? Was he nice?
Yeah, well, he was kind of walking and he did it really quick.
And while fans like Joe are enjoying the thrill of meeting Major League Baseball players and catching foul balls they get to keep.
You caught those yourself?
For some local residents, the return of spring training means new jobs, at least for a couple of months.
Because that's nice and be easy and they'll take care of you.
Many of the ballpark's ushers are retired, but they're more than happy to go back to work when the office looks like this. So here you are.
At the stadium, why not?
Why not, indeed. This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV. Police sirens are often a sign that all is not well, but this time they signaled holiday joy. And when they stopped, West Palm Beach police officers unloaded box after box of presents for Mario and Elena Mateo and their 3 small children who'd recently participated in the department's Shop with the Cop event and whose Christmas wish list nearly brought officers Ray Lopez and Cassandra Placeres to tears.
It said that they needed food. When I spoke with Brian, the oldest, and I asked him, what do you guys want to spend your money on? He told me, again, food.
Did that just break your heart?
It completely shattered me.
So the officers took up a collection for the Mateos, and within days, they'd amassed $400 worth of gift cards, boxes of food, toys, and clothes. The Mateos, who moved here from Guatemala 6 years ago, have been struggling financially the past several months. Mario, a restaurant worker, says jobs have been hard to come by, so the presents dropped off at their door couldn't have come at a better time.
Nos sentimos muy feliz por...
I feel very blessed. We needed this.
Officers Placeres and Lopez say for themselves, knowing what a difference their delivery will make is the best gift of all.
This is Christmas. This is what it is for me. This was my gift to myself and to them.
This is Sheryl Kahn reporting for WPB TV.